Hey everyone, welcome to Meeple Bits. Today we're going to do part one of a three-part series of Shem Phillips' North Sea series. So today we're going to go through Shipwrights of the North Sea, a game designed by Shem Phillips, published by Garphill Games for 2 to 5 players. Depending on when you're coming across this video, this is part one of 3 for his series, Shipwrights of the North Sea, Raiders of the North Sea, and Explorers of the North Sea. So make sure you check out those videos as well. So join me as we go through an initial setup and then quick playthrough of Shipwrights of the North Sea. Hey everyone, welcome back to a setup for 3 players of Shipwrights of the North Sea. So before we begin, let's go over the components and the initial setup so that you guys can dive right in. Everyone should receive a player board. There's a first player token, so give that to whoever's going to be first player. There is iron tokens, wool tokens in the shape of little sheep. There are wood tokens, and then additional meeple worker Vikings. Deck of cards, which are going to house all the different playable cards during the game. And then in this demonstration, we are going to use the mini expansion, the Townsfolk expansion, which now basically comes with the game if you purchase it. And I gotta say, it's a must-have for the game when playing, without a doubt. So if you're not playing with the Townsfolk expansion, run out, grab it. It's probably only a couple of bucks to pick up. Okay, so the different types of cards, or actually let's look at a board real fast so we can see what we're working with. On your player board, you've got up top 0 through 12. This is your gold. So you can never hold more than 12 gold at a time in your bank. Your workshop A for one ship, your workshop B for another ship. Your mill to hold your goods, and you'll notice there's a little icon here that says 8 on it. So you can have no more than 8 resources, sheep, iron, or wood inside your mill. And then also down here for your workers, you can have no more than 8 workers in your village at a time. Okay, so that's the board. That's the components. And the initial setup is everyone should get a player board, and then you're going to hand them a yellow ship, which represents their gold. And then to start the game, everyone's going to select 2 resources of their choice. So you can either pick 2 sheep, 2 iron, 2 wood, or any combination thereof. So I've already assigned it to the other players around the board. For myself, I'm going to grab 1 iron and 1, I'm going to grab 2 sheep actually, because as you'll notice, on the cards that are out here, on the back of every card is the market. So market to buy right now, which I'll cover in just a moment. To buy wood, you'll get 2 resources. To buy sheep, you'll get 1, and to buy iron, you'll get 3. So right now, iron is easy to get, whereas sheep is going to be a little bit harder. So to start the game, I'm actually going to grab 2 of the sheep, put them in my mill for my resources. There we go. Okay. So that's the initial setup. Once you've got that taken care of, we'll step into the next phase. But before doing so, let's take a quick look at the different types of cards that are going to come out during play. One of the types of cards, which are going to be your item cards or your tool cards, are going to be yellow. These will go, if you build them, to the left of your player board. You may only have 1 tool in your in play at a time. If you want to use another tool, you have to discard it and then then play a new one. Ship cards, which is what you're ultimately trying to go after. So if you get a ship, you're going to put it inside your workshop, whichever one you choose. Once it's built, you'll move it above the player board, indicating that it's been built. These worker cards, they're like villager cards rather, these are indicated in gray. These act as sort of like item cards in other types of games where they have to be played immediately and cannot be used on future turns. So this queen item card, as you'll see, increases gold. In the upper right hand corner of the card, will indicate kind of what it does. Down in the lower right, you'll see it. I'll receive 3 gold when I play this card. The next type is buildings. Buildings, when built, you would put to the right of your player board, and you may have as many buildings as you want, but you may only have one of any type of building. So if I build this market hall, I can only have 1 market hall ever in play. In the upper right, it kind of tells you what it will do, and in the lower, it'll tell you some additional pieces and its cost. So this one costs 8 gold and 3 workers to build. Receive victory points equal to the mill's capacity minus 8. So as I go through the game, I'll want to go ahead and try to increase my mill's capacity so that I can get more victory points. And then last is the workers, or the craftsmen, or apprentices. I forget exactly what they're called in this game, but they're indicated in red. So carpenter, sailmaker, blacksmith, and weaver. All of these guys are going to be needed to build some type of ship. So at the bottom of the cards, it'll tell you the different types of ship that each of these guys are going to be needed to build. And that's it. That's the different types of cards throughout the game that are going to come up in play. So, how do you win? Well, at the end of the game ends once a person has built 4 ships. So the game will end when 1 or more players have constructed their 4th ship. It is possible that you can construct more than 4 ships, during your turn, but that's going to trigger the end game event. Players are going to add up all their victory points, so their constructed ships, their buildings, military bonuses if applicable, and then the player with the highest total victory points is declared the winner. In case of a tie, the person that has the highest gold on their track is then the tiebreaker winner. Okay, so this additional expansion, the Townsfolk expansion player board, this is another place for you to go and use the different types of things on your turn. So during your turn, you can go up here and you can only use one of the spaces, and only one person can occupy any one of these at any given time. And you can only go there once per turn. So here in the cartographer, when you construct a ship, you can substitute out a required worker for whatever worker that you need or have in your hand. So let's say you needed a weaver, for example, but you had a blacksmith. So you could go there and, if this is an open spot, you can go here and say, okay, this blacksmith is actually now a weaver. Here, you can discard cards to move up gold. So 2, 3, and 5 for discarding 1, 2, and 3 cards. Here is the forager, as it's called. So you can move the top card from the draw pile here onto the discard pile, which resets the market. And then when doing so, you can gain any one of these goods. This one clears, it's called Gatekeeper. It clears the board, so you actually get to collect any Viking workers that are on there. And then the Shield Maiden here allows you to draw up one of these shields and protect your either workers, apprentices, or your ships. So if you were to go there, you would grab this, and if you had a ship in your workshop, or if you had, say, a worker, you would be able to put a shield here so that they cannot be attacked during that turn. Okay, so that's the initial setup, and how the game plays is over the course of 3 phases or 3 rounds, indicating the morning, afternoons, and night phases. So what that looks like is in the morning phase of the game, let's see here. Sorry, morning phase, you're going to go ahead and draw up the cards. So how that drawing works is it's a card draft. So in a 3-player game, you're going to draw 4 cards, and I've taken out 3 piles, so you're going to actually do 3 times of this. So in the morning phase, you're going to grab a pile, 4 cards. The player's going to look at the card, figure out which of these they want to take and keep, and then put it in their hand secretly. Once everyone passes around, the final player is going to have 2 to choose from. They're going to pick one and discard the other. You're going to do that 3 times in the morning phase, and then that builds your hand for the afternoon phase. In the afternoon phase, this is where you're going to start to build and use your workers. So there's a number of actions that you can take during this, which is you could buy goods. So what you're going to do is whatever your hand may be, you're going to go through it and you have to use or discard all of your cards on your turn. So you can buy goods, buy tools, hire craftsmen, call on the townsfolk, which are the gray cards, begin constructing a ship by putting it into your workshop, finish constructing it by spending all the resources necessary, or construct buildings. So those are the many actions that you can do during your turn, each of them doing something a little bit differently. And then lastly is the evening phase. And in the evening phase, you're going to replenish your gold. So to replenish your gold, you're going to get 1 gold per worker in your mill, plus 1 gold for any ships that indicate that you get bonus gold. So for example, right now, I've only got 3 workers in my mill. So at the end of the phase, if they were still there and not on assignment anywhere else, I would go up 3 gold here. Players are then going to receive additional workers. You're going to get 1 worker for each, so you're going to receive 1 worker at the end of the day at minimum. And then you're also going to get a bonus worker for any constructed ships, indicating that you get bonus workers. You're going to check the mill and village capacities to make sure that you're not above 8 and 8. If you are, you have to discard any amount of supplies that are over that amount, and then moving on. And that's the 3 actions. Then you're going to go back to the morning phase, deal up more cards, and then play them again. So that's it, guys. Quick recap. Everyone gets a player board. Start your gold on a 5. Put out the ships. Get ready to deal up 3 sets of cards to everyone. Select 2 resources of your choice, and then begin the rounds. Morning, afternoon, evening. So let's go ahead and dive right in and see what a turn or a round is going to look like in doing all of that. So let's go ahead and grab this first deck of cards for the morning phase. And I'm looking at this. You know what? This one looks pretty cheap to get built. So I might want to do that one or possibly this one because it's also going to give me a little bit of military and 3 victory points. One thing to note is that down here on the cost of the cards, for example, this one takes 7. Come on, focus. There we go. 7 gold, 3 workers, 2 wood, 3 sheep or wool, and 2 iron. A blacksmith and a weaver. That must be paid in full at one time. So you can't, like, for example, pay your 7 gold on one turn and then on a subsequent turn pay the rest. You have to have all the resources necessary in order to build them. So this looks relatively simple enough to build. So I'm going to go ahead and draft that card, passing the deck to the next player. They're going to draft that one, he's going to draft that one, and this one's going to get discarded. Okay, next hand. Let's take a quick peek. Ooh, a carpenter. I think I need a carpenter. Oh, I need a blacksmith and a weaver. That one didn't really help me, but these are relatively low cost to build, but I might need a carpenter in the future. So I'll go ahead and draft him. He'll draft that, discard that. Okay. Next, 4 more ships. Okay. What do we get? Carpenter. All right, this one needs a carpenter and a blacksmith. So let's go ahead and draft this one. Okay. Draft, discard. There we go. So that's the morning phase. All right, whoops. There we go. So now we move on into the evening phase, or sorry, the afternoon. So in the afternoon phase, we need to use our cards or discard them. So very plainly and simply, looking around, what I'm going to do on my turn, actually let me rotate this way, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and hire this carpenter. Okay, so he becomes now usable. Let's see, this one requires a carpenter, so I'm going to go ahead and put this in my workshop A for future building. And then this one, you know what, let's go ahead and just throw it into our workshop there. So we've used our 3 cards possible. Now we've got some workers that we can use. Let's see here. Is there anything up there that I want to use in the townsfolk? Right. So I guess one thing that I forgot to mention was how you buy those resources. So in the beginning, I had noted that sheep were going to be hard to come by because this is the current market. And to buy on your turn, it'll cost you 2 workers and 2 gold. So during this turn, I see that I'm going to need some iron to build these ships. And so to get this one, I'm going to need at least 2. And iron has a pretty good value right now. 3 is the highest. So I'm going to spend my 2 workers. They go into the general supply. Spend 2 gold, 1, 2. And then I'm going to take in 3 iron. So my mill is sitting at 5 of 8 capacity right now. So we're still okay. All right, so the next player, they're going to take their turn. Oh, let me head all the way over there. So that's my turn. I could spend my last meeple, but I'm going to save him so that I can make sure that I get some income next turn. So player 2, they were dealt 3 ships. Doesn't really help them a whole heck of a lot, but they're going to put this one in their workshop. They're going to put this one in their workshop. And then this one, they're actually going to discard it, but they're going to discard it by spending 1 worker to come to the town here, discard the card, and then collect 2 gold. So now they're at 7. And then player 3. Player 3 is going to do the same thing. They're going to pull up their hand. Let's see what they got. 3 ships. Man, that was a rough deal on the first turn. But we see that this one actually loses them gold, so they may not want to build that one early on. This one will gain them workers, so these 2 look to be a little bit easier to do. So let's go ahead and grab those 2, put them in the workshop, and then player 3 is going to do the same thing that player 2 did, which is, oh no, they can't. So instead, they're going to do it a little bit differently. They're not going to be able to use this card for anything, so at the end of the turn, it's going to get discarded anyway. But what they are going to do is, they're going to come to the town. So you're going to spend a worker, come to the town, and then clear the board by using the gatekeeper action. So you do actually take the meeple that you just placed down. So that's going to net them an additional 1 gold for the next turn. And then that's their play. So the afternoon phase is complete. Okay, so the evening phase. Everyone's going to receive gold. So starting with me, player 1, I'm going to receive 1 gold per worker in the mill plus 1 gold of constructed ships. My ships wouldn't give me anything anyway. This guy actually is going to cost me a gold, in fact. But I'm going to get 1 for my 1 worker in there. They're going to get 2 for their workers. 1, 2. There we go. And then they're going to get 4, moving them up to a 9. Okay. So that's the pay the gold. So they're going to receive workers next. I don't have any constructed ships, so I'm only going to get 1 worker. No constructed ships, they're going to get 1 worker. And they're going to get 1 worker. Check the mill capacities, finally. I'm at 5, 2, and 2, so no one is above 8, so looks good there. Okay. And then unless you've played a specific card indicating that you are the first player next turn, the first player token then gets passed to the next person and they become the first player. Then we're going to draw up so the next morning phase. So then we would draw up cards to draft, thus changing the market. So the new market is going to be this one, which is wood is in easy supply, sheep again are rare to get. And that's it, guys. So stay tuned for my afterthoughts. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed that setup and brief tutorial of how to play Shipwrights of the North Sea, the first in Shem Phillips' series of the North Sea. So my initial thoughts on the game when I first played it were, yeah, this is pretty cool. And I picked up the game, I guess, a little bit later. So the expansion, the Townsfolk expansion, came built in for me. So I never experienced the game without it. But I gotta say that having that additional option on your turn is paramount. It's incredible. And I can't believe the game was actually designed without it to begin with. But definitely corrected and added into all copies of the game by default. So a huge plus on that note. So I really did then came to like this game after a couple of playthroughs. But fun fact, when I first started playing through the game and reading through the notes, I guess I had read the initial how to build a ship a little incorrectly. I thought you could actually build a ship because it says something about you can build a ship over days or weeks or however it's worded to get it done. So I thought you could kind of check off some of the resources at a time. Later, well, after that was during my first playthrough, but then I realized that that made it a little too easy, and then there was no value or weight into the sort of take that mechanics of attacking other players because you were sort of every turn siphoning off or reserving off some of your resources, kind of protecting yourself from losing what you've amassed to build those ships. So the game really became a lot more strategic and a lot more cutthroat on all of my subsequent playthroughs when I realized that, yeah, to build this, 6 or 8 victory point value ship, man, I've got to amass all those resources. I got to get all 10 gold sitting there and hope that someone doesn't knock down my gold. Or I have to get all 8 resources in my pile up or have, all 6 workers ready to go. So that really added the appropriate element back into the game. But anyway, guys, my take on this one is it's a lot of fun. Mechanically, the artwork is great. Shem and the Miko pairing up for all these games is incredible. So if you like these sort of really engine builder type games, this is definitely one to add into your collection. I only added this one after I actually got Raiders of the North Sea and Explorers of the North Sea, so I just kind of wanted to complete out the trilogy. You'll also know that if you've backed any of his games, there's a rune something expansion that bridges the 3 together, turning it into somewhat of a legacy series. I didn't get that because the people that I play with the games with are never the same group every time, unfortunately. So that one I didn't really have a chance to get into. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions about the mechanics or the game, you have other suggestions, please leave a like in the comments or leave a comment rather. Thanks for watching, and until next time.